Hi guys, this is the first time that I get to talk to you in this course, which is really fun because you get to hear my voice and realize that I still talk in exclamation marks, just like I type in exclamation marks. And I wanted to take a minute to show you one of the common hangups that happens a lot for people who are very, very new to HTML and web pages. And that is the process of saving and opening in browsers. And it can get a little bit tricky, believe it or not. So what I'm going to do, I'm starting right off the bat with a blank Notepad page that you'll see in front of me. I'm on a PC, so Notepad comes directly free with my PC software. I just have to search with it and open it. It's different from Microsoft Word in that Microsoft Word adds things to it. So it is a what you see is what you get editor. So whatever you type, you format in that window, and that is applied. When we type in plain text or a plain text editor like Notepad, there is no formatting applied whatsoever, which means it's exactly the code. So that's what we use to type code. So I'm going to start off an HTML page, and presuming you guys have already looked at the content a little bit, you'll know some of this stuff. So the first thing we do is we tell the browser what type of document it is. So the doc type is HTML. And we are working in HTML5 here. There are other doc types you might come across, HTML4 or strict HTML. And then we're defining this as an HTML document, remembering you probably from the reading, everything you open you have to close. So if we open an HTML document, we have to close the HTML document. And then we have the head of the document. So we open the head, and then we need to close the head. We open the body, and then we need to close the body. Now, of course, again, from the readings, you'll know that the head contains all of what we would call metadata. That's the title, that's key search terms, that would be once we get into CSS, the CSS can be defined in there. You can call up scripts in there. So anything that is not visible on the page but is part of the page goes in the head. So again, the title. I'm going to call this my page. And again, I have to close the title. And then down here within the body, we can do a headline, H1, my heading. Again, we have to close H1. It's a little tedious, but you get the point, right? Paragraph, so this is our paragraph point where we would just use to type in text. There's other types of containers. So again, we have heading containers, we have paragraph containers. We're going to get into divs and all those sorts of things as we go through the course. But just realizing I'm not just dropping text loose within the body. They're held within some type of container. This is my page. Okay, and I close the paragraph tab. That's it. That is a page. This is a complete HTML page, and this is at the point where you pat yourself on the back and go, okay, I made a page. So now it's time to save it. We're going to File, Save As, and here's the trick. Down here it says text documents. We don't want to save it as a text document. So what you do is you type in the title, and if you've, again, read the content, you know that we're using index.html. There is a difference between index with a lowercase and index with an uppercase, so you should be using index with a lowercase, HTML. And I add the .html here to tell the text editor that I'm actually saving an HTML page. If I just type index, it's going to save it as a text file, not as an HTML file. Very different things. So now I'm going to hit save. Now my page is done. So the next thing I'm actually going to do, I'm going to move this over, and I have a browser here. Any browser will do, whether you use Firefox, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Safari, any of those are all browsers. And then I'm going to open the file. And I should have been prepared here. There's my page. You'll see index.h. You can't see the HTML in this particular case, depending on the settings of your File Explorer. So I'm just going to double click on this, and it's actually by default going to open up in my browser. So here I can see exactly what I've typed up displayed right in my browser. If I had added a picture to my page, it would show up the picture. So you'll notice in here it says the heading, right? And then it displays the heading according to whatever the heading settings are. My paragraph, whatever the font and settings for that paragraph are, it'll display here. Anything I type here will then be reflected here, and I can do that. A page P, isn't this fun? And then I save it. And then I can actually come back here and refresh it, and it updates right off the bat because it's saved right there. So the next kind of piece of that is when we look within the File Explorer, sometimes you may want to open it with Notepad instead, or whatever editor is. And again, on a PC, what you would do is you would go, you would actually right click on it and you would say Open With. And if I do that, it gives me a bunch of options. So I can either go to Notepad or I can use one of the browsers that I have. If I want to open it in Notepad, it's actually not, I already have it open in Notepad. So it's just going to pull up that page. So those are the two different ways that you can open it. You can open it within the browser itself or directly from where the file is. But then if you want to open it in Notepad, so it's almost like the two ways of seeing it. If you open it in a browser, you see kind of the front end. If you open it with a plain text editor, you see the back end. So I hope that helps. I hope that made things really, really clear. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know.